maybe that's what you get for trying to like make a voice AI go on while showing it at the same time. Maybe Grok has an agreement with YouTube. Jesus. Or they're just attacking me. Okay, let's go through the news stories of the day with Friday AI, just so I can get some of this stuff, so we can actually have usable clips from this, so people can actually talk about this. One is the move from electronics to photonics. Supposedly took a giant leap forward with China releasing this optical chip, AI chip that is 100 times faster than NVIDIA. Now, I will call bullshit on this, largely because there is a company working on photonics in Europe that has made big strides, but the idea that China leapt ahead of them magically overnight is a little stupid. And if you look at the story around it, it's trying, right? It's like we've got a prototype of it, right? That they can't replicate. So big deal. It's like quantum computing back in the beginning of the day, or cold fusion at a certain point. Like until you can replicate and start making chips, who gives a shit? It's the same. That we'll get to solid state batteries in a little bit as well. But I'm also going to let's jump over to this next story. This the photonics thing. This is the real story on sort of photonic chips, which is what's going to help AI beat the energy pull that it needs right now. And that's one of the big things about it is that the energy that it requires, and everybody's talking about how we need, to triple our energy output because AI is going to gobble this up. If you switch from electronics to photonics, that goes away almost overnight. I mean, it'll take a couple of years to transition from these kind of chips to the other and mass produce them enough to do it. But once the technology's there, electronics goes into the, you can literally build computers that work on sunlight, that you could arguably pipe sunlight in, change which when the sunlight goes into an optical cable, for example, like one of those bendable solar lights that you have where people can put a like mirrors in a tube and make sunlight come in. You could have a skylight in a lower floor, those setups. Okay, so you set up a bunch of optical cables, and then each one could be toned to a different color. So the glass is a different color, creating a different light wavelength going through it. And then you have a switcher at the bottom, and then you're just literally running the I/O aspect of the computer program based on which light is getting through, and it's switched based on another cable that's two forms of light that just vacillates based on whatever the sensor tells it to do, whether it's typing, input, voice, whatever it is. Will I/O for it, and then it will run these kind of multiple computation things based on what sunlight going in there, and that's actually doable. Now you'd want it based on the idea that you could just with energy create any light you want and the variety of light that you could do it, but the idea that you could create photonic chips eventually that would run off sunlight so that as soon as the sun comes up, your house wakes up and it's sending natural light throughout the whole thing and blah, blah, blah. Like the possibilities are endless in this regard. But that the chips would run on coherent light. Oh, so it talks, right? No. So anyways, this is going to be, I think, the next step forward in the next few years. This is in the physical realm of things.
It's not sunlight that's doing this. It'd be like LEDs
No.
or
Yeah, of course. But what I'm saying is that technology, once it's done, you could literally have computers that are powered on during the day because they don't require energy to do it. They just require light. So anytime you have a natural source of light of any sort, you could arguably power stuff just off of that light source. You could run computers.
Well, you
on
would
that light
have to
source.
do that through like photocells, and then
Yes.
like solar panel powers a battery powers a computer produces light, so on and so forth. Like
Exactly.
you need a power source of some kind.
Totally.
Mr. Spock said Logan's Run. Yeah, that's one of my favorite sci-fi movies. I was probably the first sci-fi movie I ever saw. I was probably like 6 or 7 when I saw it.
Sure. Yeah, but the opposite is now true because the reality is Logan's Run would be we don't want any new people. We want to live forever. So any babies born would be chucked into the hole, and that would be the thing. Like people would it'd be like a mix of Gattaca, where if you don't have a genetically perfect baby, they just throw it down the hole, kind of like 300.
Right.
And a world full of old people who look relatively young. Back then was the population bomb. That's what created Logan's Run, was the
Right.
fiction around the population bomb, that there's too many fucking people and we're gonna run out of space, and so we're gonna have to start getting rid of people, and the old people are the first ones to go. So it's all gonna be this youth centered culture, and that's what's gonna cause everybody to they're going to have to throw away anybody who gets too old, and never trust anyone over 30 was one of the big hippie phrases, right? So between that and the population bomb, poof, Logan's Run. Literally how that came to be. So let's see. One of the hold on, allow. One of the things I want to show you is the.
So, well,
yeah,
before you get there, so to me, like that's the type of like paradigm shift that would cause NVIDIA to like fall off its perch. Would be, and like again, like there's no like AI. To me, right now, AI is no different than cloud computing, right?
Yeah.
Like you and the reason why Gemini is so scary to ChatGPT is not because it's any better or worse. It's because it's super easy to integrate Gemini into Gmail and Google Docs and Google Sheets because they already have the infrastructure. It's exactly why they tried to make like Copilot is ChatGPT effectively, like an API call to ChatGPT. They're looking to get it into the iPhone, if you will. Like everybody's got an iPhone, so but AI in most people's lives is seamless. It's like you don't go to AI. It's just embedded in.
It's
the
like
result.
GPS. It's exactly. It's like GPS or maps showing up it related to a web page that you look for. You look up a business, it automatically now brings up the map, and then if you click one button, it'll give you directions if that's what you want. So that's still the human in the loop aspect of it that's there.
Yes. So in that same sense, like the thing that like right now, NVIDIA is the only game in town because it's the only way to. It's currently the most. I'm not even going to say it's the best way to do it. Like they just own the market. Because they were so like embedded in the production of GPUs, and because they had CUDA, which was sort of the main, the top way to use a GPU like a CPU in the sense, like the way to program for it. They were like Microsoft in that just everybody had a PC, so that's what they used to do the thing that they did, right? So because of that, NVIDIA's only vulnerability right now is some form of new technology to process the data, to be the GPU, essentially, to replace the GPU. Right. And it's entirely possible that if AI in general becomes like the next must-have app, if you will, like it needs to expand, it needs to grow, like they say it's supposed to, then NVIDIA is actually not going to be the winner because there's already a cap on the power consumption and the resources needed to generate enough processing power to do that.
Right.
With their so they
Really? We're just gonna freeze up. It's got to be the internet on my end or something. Like this is just silly at this point. Or is it just Rob? Okay, it's just Rob froze up. Sorry. Okay, hold on. What, Rob? Drop out and come back in. You're frozen. I'll drop him out and we'll see if he comes back in. Apologies, everybody. Man, it's just they're just throwing a monkey wrench in my system this morning. There he is. He's back. Hold on. Let me hop back in here. Ta-da! And there he is. Hi. You froze up. So
buggy day today, huh?
It's a very buggy day. Absolutely. And again, this imagine this if your whole world runs off of a buggy robot like this. So you were saying ultimately NVIDIA is the only game in town
Okay. So the thing that will displace NVIDIA is the ceiling that NVIDIA currently has.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like, again, this is all marketing, like the AI bubble, like the stock market, whatever. It's all based on a bunch of things that people say it's going to be, but it's not that yet. Right. So either it's not going to become that.
Right.
That's a possibility. It's never going to become what they say it's going to become. And they were all lying and they're going to lose their asses because they were lying. Or it's going to become that, but then they're going to hit a ceiling for power consumption. So somebody's going to have to solve that.
Yep.
And so if NVIDIA just keeps making GPUs and never solves for the problem that if you scale the current situation based on what they say it's going to be, it will break.
Yeah, right. You're going to have to run it in a volcano layer. Right.
Right. Like, and so like, that's the part that when, there's all kinds of, I've seen it in today's chat in the broken up version of it. Like, what about the power? What about the environmental impact? Like, that's the ceiling. The ceiling is there's not enough power, and eventually it's going to run out of power, right?
Right.
Like,
and they know this.
And they know that.
They know
so
it. Right.
NVIDIA either has to figure out how to do it with less power, do what they say they want to do with less power, or somebody else is going to come in and be like, here's how we do it with less power. And NVIDIA's gone faster than you can blink.
Right.
Because all the capital will go to that spot because that's the only way to get there. Right.
Right.
And so effectively, like you're using, I'm sorry, the term is, what's the AI, not the sentient AI, the
sovereign AI?
Sovereign AI. So to me, the term sovereign AI, you started off the stream with that. That's like, I'm going to write the system that the IRS uses for the next 40 years because the government is really slow at making any changes. Right. And I'll get a 40-year contract because that's just the way it is. Sovereign AI to me is like, at some point, somebody's going to have to shit or get out the pot. They're going to invest in a thing and it's going to be stuck in that spot, right? For a period of time until whenever that is. Just like, the IRS running off of cobalt or whatever that is, right?
Right.
So
yes.
They're like, well, it's too expensive to change. We'll just keep it going until eventually, like, whatever, right?
Well, and the process
everybody's
by
trying to be.
Yeah, the process by which you change it is so complicated. You have to, it'll be slow, even if the process of doing it would be fast. The process of getting people on board to do it is a slow and painful one.
Yes.
So you can guarantee yourself market share that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are inherent systems that don't want to change very often. So these guys right now, they need income, they need revenue. So they're like, how can we push ourselves into the place where that's what Doge was really all about? It was about quote unquote modernizing government systems. That was them just being like, hey, somebody's going to displace this Oracle, this database, this Cobalt, this whatever the thing was in that department that might have been designed 20 years ago. And they're like, we want to be the new thing. And the reason they want to be the new thing is because they think that for the next 20 or 30 years, it'll be them if they get in now. And Trump and Musk, it was essentially like, we have the keys to the government. Let's be those guys. And once we're there, it's going to be really hard to displace us. Yeah. Right. We'll get there. We'll be there for 2 years. And then in the third and fourth and fifth year, good luck trying to get rid of us. Right. Because government's slow and Congress doesn't do anything and all that other stuff. Right. So that's what the marketing side of AI is all about. They're just trying to entrench themselves in these spots. Right. The problem they have is that, one, there's the ceiling, and that's what we keep talking about, the ceiling of power and the environment and resources. And the second is that it doesn't have to be much better than it is now. So you can make like a half-ass version of it for way cheaper, and it will compete with some of the best things out there. Right. Because they haven't made a compelling path.
There's no moat.
To what
There's no moat.
There's no moat, exactly.
There is,
but also it's their own fault because
yes.
they haven't sold us on what the goal is that can't be made by anybody else. Instead, what they're doing is it's superhuman, it's super smart, and it's like that doesn't mean anything. It's also, not like we're the only ones that can get to the moon. We're the only ones that can get to Mars, right? Like that's a hard problem, right? But we're going to be superhuman. Like it doesn't mean anything, especially at a time when like the rhetoric around politics is we don't even trust any experts. So like AI is supposedly the ultimate expert, while politically they're convincing everybody that experts are all wrong and don't trust them. So none of this works. The math of this doesn't work at all.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to here's the analogy that came into my head while you were talking about this.
Shoot.
The AI companies are digging a moat for their business and filling it with concrete.
So you can walk across it, you mean?
Right. It doesn't matter. Like all right. So they're like,
I would say they're digging a moat around some place nobody wants to go.
Yeah.
Like, you just won't go there. You're like, great, you got a moat. I don't want to be on the other side of your moat anyway.
Right. But that's what I mean. It's like they can walk over and go, oh yeah, never mind. You just leave. Right. But okay. So a couple of things. One of the reasons why that is, I'm going to share something. This is a Kickstarter project that I saw online, but is growing. And there's a reason why there are multiple versions of this. This is, I think, called Olares, if I'm pronouncing it properly. And this is just an example. Don't get too caught up in the actual device. It is sweet. Don't get me wrong. And for what it does, it's relatively inexpensive, but I understand where they went with this. So this is a local desktop AI. Now, it's not just a computer. It's where you have this, you hook it up to your, you just hook up a keyboard and a mouse, and it's like a Mac M1 or something like that. It's meant to run in an isolated sense in your home or your office or your business or wherever it is, and will be your localized, trained on your own. You can download any models into it. You can isolate your proprietary information from everyone else using this, and you have it's designed on this like secure SSR, I guess it is, or SSH connection, where on your phone or on your laptop, wherever you are, you can log into this thing and it will do all the computation stuff like you would log into ChatGPT and use their cloud server. It can operate as your home cloud as well for the AIs that you download in it. And it can operate ones that are as fast as anything that's currently in the running, as far as isolated ones, like the top of the lines, and multiple ones at the same time. It's got a NVIDIA 5090, which is its key component, whatever. And again, I think there's going to be a lot more of these things with, whatever the next, like a Blackwell version or something like that. And there is an NVIDIA AI server thing that they have that you can get as well. It's about $3,000 or $5,000, something like that. Anyways, it uses an Intel Ultra 9. It's open source, and it's got 96 gigabytes of RAM and a 2 terabyte drive. And there's a bunch of these dudes doing like oh my gods about it. But insofar as like it's what, $28.99 or $29.99 for the Alaris One, and compared to most of the other things, including the NVIDIA Spark, which is the highest end one, sort of the fastest one, it doesn't have as much memory. It's got a slightly smaller, half the size storage, and it doesn't operate on the same core system that the rest of them do. But this is an isolated AI where you can download Ollama and any of the models, and you're not using ChatGPT or any of these other ones. And there's probably a period where the rest of them are that much faster. But in the Rob Glenn world of using the Rob Glenn rule that it's good enough for 99% of people already. This system alone and the models it can download outpace almost anybody's need for AI in their real estate business that they run, or their, like their small shop or store or their home life or their house or any of that stuff. Like I use a little server for Home Assistant that's like a little Raspberry Pi one, and it's got its own kind of AI built into it. It's got an AI hat on it for the house, but I mean, it's like less than 10 watts or some ridiculousness. It's so small, and it's like I haven't even maxed it out yet. And this would be like if somebody's like testing computers and that kind of stuff and doing a lot, like a cybersecurity firm could use one of these. And it's so cheap comparatively. And this is it outpacing, this is it in the benchmarks compared to all these other ones. The Alaris one versus even the NVIDIA one. Like this thing is super fast and it's offline. Once you set it up and you download the models you want, and if you don't like them, you can use a different one. Once you have that, and it runs tests on Flux and all these other things as far as using like downloading these kind of things. It's yours. It's offline. You're not relying on ChatGPT. You're not going to them. That's the moat with Concrete. You're downloading their mini models onto this thing, and they work plenty fine for what you're already using. They've got an app store, which is one of their ways they're going to make money off of the thing internally to make it easier to download these models and that kind of stuff, which is also going to be a big part of this. And I think they're going to probably sell more of that and that model, that their little app store, than the actual device itself. That in of itself would be a thing I would sell as software. Like download their app store, and you can download through a Llama or one of the online or the offline edge computing things, and you go, hey, I've got it hooked up to a Mac, I've got it hooked up to a PC, or I've got it hooked up to a Raspberry Pi, and I want to download these pieces of software and set them up using this throughput, which is what an operating system does. And there you go.
Yeah. I mean, so if you think about productivity in general, like speed is not necessarily the number one thing you need, right?
Right.
And I'll give a couple examples. So back in the day when we're sort of like we're like prisoners to our own history, right? Like because when computers came out, there was this sort of path of like each year something a little bit faster would come out and a little bit faster, a little bit. And we probably went through that phase for 10, 15, 20 years where it was like, I need the next fastest thing. Well, there was a certain point in time, maybe it was like the mid 2000s, let's just say for the sake of talking, where you didn't need anything faster because so I do need a really fast computer because I really do a lot with it, but my mom didn't. So like my mom was like, I need a new computer. And I'd say, well, I'll just give you my old one and I'll get a new one and you'll be fine, because I was doing all this crazy stuff, but all she was doing was surfing the web and maybe sending some emails. So she didn't need anything faster. So this is under this thing that you just showed is sort of under that same umbrella, right? And instead of new computer versus old computer, it's going to be, if I use the online version of ChatGPT or Gemini, which is you're typing in a prompt and it goes to a server somewhere. Yeah. That server has, a server grade, like very expensive GPU.
Right.
And it's going to take time to process that and give you an answer. Right.
Yeah.
So I'll give an example of something I'm working on now. I've been just sort of doing my own development of a productivity tool that I just use on my own. It helps me greatly. And it's probably one of the greatest things I've ever done with the LLM so far, because it's like it's local to my brain. Like instead of going out and buying software, I'm like, I just want to make something on the fly that works for me. Right. So every time I make a change to it, I'm at like version 17 or 18 right now. I basically drop into ChatGPT's window what it did before me before, and I tell it what I want new, and then it processes the whole thing and gives me the whole thing new again.
Yeah.
And it takes about 10 to 15 minutes for 5.2 to give me the new thing.
Right.
So if you think about that for a second, if it took 20 minutes instead of 15 minutes, or even if it took 30 minutes instead of 15 minutes, what the fuck does it matter? because I'm waiting anyway, right? So
Yes.
if I didn't have a subscription to ChatGPT, all I had was that computer, and it was half the speed of the thing in the server.
Mm-hmm.
The half the speed doesn't matter. It just
Yeah.
doesn't,
Yeah.
right? So that's the good enough. It's good enough. And none of us normal
Yeah.
people are like trying to predict weather or do like atom splitting
Right.
uh, uh, simulations, right? Like all we're doing is we're
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I wrote this email to my friend. Can you just check it out and make sure I'm not an asshole? Like
Mm-hmm.
make it sound better.
Right.
Or like you have some legal questions, or you might like want to know something about your taxes. Like these are
Mm-hmm.
the real useful things that you would use AI for. Or maybe
Yes.
it's a memory thing. Like I remember writing something to this person about this subject. When did I do that? Who did I
Right.
send it to? Like you're looking for like so these are the things that I've seen the LLMs are useful for. It's useful for like asking a big thing of data for like contextual location. I
Mm-hmm.
remember talking about this subject sometime in the last 2 years. When did I do that? And
Yes.
it tells you when you did it. It's really
Yeah.
good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Or evaluate this thing that here's this huge thing that I just did, evaluate it and tell me what I could do better. It's more focused than that. But my point is like the usefulness of it does not need these data centers.
Right.
It just doesn't. It doesn't. You can wait for it, and it will
Yeah.
work on a computer that you can buy for $2,000 right now. No problem.
Right. Yeah. Like, and again, even then, like if it really mattered to you, like we need this fast or whatever. Let's say you have a small company with 10 computers in it to like desktops. You can hive those together and their processing power to make when most people are just doing email, which is almost requiring almost no effort from the computer or filling out forms or whatever, that allows you to run a localized AI over effectively a hub of those 5 or 6 computers that makes it even faster, right? And that'll be the other thing too, is that if let's say you're a startup company and you're like that Olaris thing or whatever, you just buy like a stack of them, or you just go buy 5 Mac M1s or something like that, like the little. There's a bunch of guys who are doing hubs out of that, and you're just stacking them together and blowing a fan on them to keep them relatively cool. And for I don't know, whatever, $10,000 all in, whatever it is, or $15,000 all in, you've got an AI that is, like seconds away from as fast as the big giants in terms of your use and your stuff and your data and those kind of things. So that's going to be the big shift. Like that's just what I'm saying is it's not even debatable. This is just true right now. If you don't believe me, go watch any number of like I created a local AI YouTube videos. There are myriad of them. Every nerd channel on there, and I've done one of my own, but I just didn't do like a how-to video about it. But I literally followed along with those on how to do it, and I've been experimenting with those and running them and playing with them.
Right.
And if I can do it just dicking around, imagine what like the people who have an IT degree. Just think of everybody who ever went to DeVry now has the skill set to create a localized AI in their house or do it for their neighborhood or go or start a home AI business. Like they can do it. Like I'll set up a server, you'll have a private AI that you can talk to. It will automatically download the newest version of this, and if you ever want to change it, it will explain how to do it to you. You'll never need to talk to me again.
Yeah. And those are the things that are like actually useful, like a thing that you will
Right.
buy it for, right? Like
Yes.
so the one that I saw was a guy that I watch. He was like, I want to know when cars are pulling up in my. He like works in a garage that he can't see his driveway.
Yeah.
I just want to know if somebody pulls up a car into my driveway. So he
Yeah.
puts a camera out. just does a little bit of work on a local AI and just tell me if it's a car or if it's something else, or only if it's a car, right? So
Right.
a bird, a dog, the wind, whatever, like
right.
a person, right? Like, so only tell me if it's a person or a car. And that's like a useful thing, right? I don't want to get up from my seat unless there's actually a car in my driveway. All right. So there's a useful thing. You might pay somebody for a camera with an embedded ability to do that. What would you pay for that? Right. That is what AI's usefulness is like a million versions of those things. Right. So for instance, in my machine shop, we've been kicking out parts. Like we have these fixtures, and every once in a while a part will literally just fly out because, we know why, but just like random reasons. Right. And then if that part flies out, then bad things can happen. And they do. They like later in the process, something will break. And we're like, shit, like, how do we know if the part flew out? And like the machine has all these sensors, but it just can't know that, right?
Right.
Well, a camera, just looking at that thing all the time, it knows what it looks like. And when it looks different, then stop.
Yes.
Right? Like that's super useful to me. It probably costs us, it would save us a decent amount of money every month. But I can make that myself right now, just with a single board computer and a camera. I'm making that, right?
Yeah.
So those are useful products that you sell, right? And so those things don't exist right now. That's the thing that I keep trying to articulate. AI needs to like latch its wagon to those useful solutions.
Right.
And that's what they haven't done. They haven't like said, if you spend $1 billion on my data center, here's the result you're going to get. Right. They haven't done that. They said, spend $1 billion and maybe we'll figure out what this thing's going to do. That's the current landscape.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's so much, it's such a dogfight that when you're you're limited in what you can even tell people you're working on. You know what I mean? Like, because if they do,
I'm sorry, I missed that. What?
I said, there's such a dogfight in the AI companies fighting for, space and what their plan is that they can't be overt in their sales pitch to almost anybody, because anybody could, in an afternoon, jump in there and try to use their model to do this thing. So if you're going after government contracts or a particular part of the corporate world, and you're really building your model like Claude is towards coding, for example, to do that, you don't want to tell everybody you're doing that. You might want them to, spend some time chasing you because they know you're good at it, but you're not going to go, our goal is basically to end coding. And every company that needs to build software is going to use Claude to do it. You want to code some software? We're going to be the engine. That's our goal. And if you say that, everybody else will go, oh, no, you don't. So they can't even talk openly about it. A couple of things real quick before I jump onto we'll finish up on my favorite topic of where the rubber hits
robots.
The road. Yeah, quit it. All right. Howie says, how big is Android going to get, Hal? Okay. Compared to...
it's already huge.
Android's it's already...
Biggest. Yeah. It's way bigger than iPhone.
It's like PCs, as far as they go. Here's the problem with all of those models, all the smartphone models, is that they are putting themselves out of business just like the AI companies are, in that ultimately it shouldn't matter which one you're using. The set of tools within them is almost identical. If you look at an Android phone versus an iPhone, the reason they look very similar is because the use case, how people's hands are and what we want to use them for, is very similar and has grown as a culture around that. Eventually, if you're moving into the eyewear part, which is Android's doing a big move into the glasses, is what you're going to see increasingly between the glasses, the screen and the glasses, and perhaps some sort of operative thing that you use to control it, like the ring that you see with some of these glasses, or just talking to it, moving from text to voice. which again has its limits. You have to have a way to text to it if you're in a setting where you don't want to speak out loud, because everybody will be on a subway yammering out loud to their to their eyes, to their eyeglasses, which is just dumb. So eventually you're going to need some way to put that text in. Well, that may not even have a screen that you see at all. You may have a little keyboard thing that you carry as a fob that flips open, and you can type to your thing if you don't want to talk, and then shut it and put it away. That's linked into the vision you're seeing on your glasses. And you'll take your glasses off if you're not on your phone technically, but you'll put them on if you are using it for directions, for texting, for those kind of things. The screen will be here, so you won't have to carry the thing. And if you're just talking to it or discussing things with it, or it's following your eyes and you're blinking to click on things, which is the other thing that will eventually happen, you won't need any input device, but you'll need it at some point. So Android and iPhone and all those things, 5 years from now, that's what they're looking at. They're looking at glasses controlled by either a keyboard that you could get aftermarket, a Bluetooth keyboard, or a little, fob that you have that allows you to, like, how on your phone you can move your finger around on a digital keyboard without tapping it. You can just slide your finger all over the place, as opposed to tapping the thing and trying to connect that, because it's okay to tap when you're looking at it. But if the keyboard's on your glasses, what you're going to want is a little slider that can allow you to slide around what you're seeing, like a little game controller, and just click and click. And that's how you'll type if you need to type again. So that part of it's coming as well. I love the fact that Chance says ChatGPT is helping me with my divorce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. They're
that's illegal. It's a legal situation. Number one, like lawyers we don't need
screwed.
We need a certain level of lawyer. Yeah. Because humans got to do the thing.
That's right.
To ask questions like, hey, details, like, should I email this? But also ChatGPT for divorce, maybe you change the tone of your question. Maybe you change the tone of your response. Maybe somebody threatens you and you're like, how do I respond to this? It can help you in so many ways, that even beyond the legal side of it.
Right. And in so many areas. I will say that when I got my Nevada driver's license, for example, instead of trying to go on their website and figure stuff out, I was just like, what do I need for here? What's the rules of that? Is that different? And it was like, no, you just need this, this, and this. And so it ended up being a cross between Google and going to their own site and just putting it together. Okay, so a couple of things. One is AI going to take my job? That's the big fear everybody talks about. And guess what, kids? It already is. Wall Street's AI gains are here. Banks plan fewer people. What you're going to see is a rise in unemployment, not a huge amount right away, and certainly not as big as people fear, but at least a point over the next year and a half. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. And some of it will be expansion without job. A lot of times unemployment is based on this idea that we're expanding our business and we're going to have to hire more people. So the assumption is they predict how many people are going to be hired because they know you spent money to expand. Well, now you don't have to hire people to expand. You might keep your employees. You might even hire a couple of people, but you might be able to expand to the work of 50 people with 25 human beings. And that's going to increase as well. You're going to see small companies become much bigger because they're doubling their workforce, but without people. It does not mean they're going to fire everybody left and right. There will be a big difference in stuff that's been outsourced overseas. You and I have talked about this a bunch, but like Indian call centers are doomed. And a lot of anything digital or assistant based that was overseas that they were outsourcing because it was cheaper, that's just gone. That whole market is gone and this is a lot more private too, because you can that's another human being. God knows who they're sharing your shit with, right? So that's a big one. All right, now let me jump to my favorite topic, and we'll close out this way. Is from the sublime to the ridiculous. Okay, so right now, there was a big step forward in humanoid robotics, and it was not from China. Everything that they're cranking out is puppetry. Everything, the Unitree, all of their things are, it's amazing how much bullshit there is, including this is their picture, which I don't know why you want your robot looking like a dog taking a piss, but they're trying to show that it can stand on one leg and kick. Okay, most of them can. because flexibility is not a problem with a robot, and it doesn't care if it falls down. So that's not the big deal. The big deal is how functional it is to, for use. And the idea that you're going to send like a bunch of unitary G1s to attack Taiwan is fucking stupid.
Yeah, and if you're gonna buy a $13,500 thing, like you're not just gonna like bring it into your house and watch it karate kick. You're gonna,
right.
You're gonna want it to do something, like
that's
fold the laundry,
exactly.
like we say these useful things. I keep going back to the useful. Like, what do you need? What do you need help doing? Not karate kicking.
And that's why that our current favorite as far as the marketing part of it is, of course, the Figure 3. Which has its helix system where they can coordinate with each other. They already have these in Figure is pushing the idea that they're going to have these home robots like this, and part of the way they're going to subsidize both directions, both the corporate, like the business use, and the personal use, is you can, if you have a factory or if you have a setup that's built for humans, you can expand or replace your human workers with somebody because they're built for that thing. And then the social and personal use aspect of it will, be, I guess rich people who can afford one in their house, or relatively well-to-do people that can afford one in their house. And rich people will have 3, because the price point is $20,000 to $30,000 on the Figure. They are looking at launching probably August of next year. You'll start seeing people pre-ordering. And then my guess is it's the rich person Christmas gift. That people will get in line early. They'll pay extra, or people will scalp their place in line to get there or whatever. And so the Kardashians will have one of these before the rest of us do. But ultimately the price will be such that production will ramp up relatively quickly. And they're talking about, 100,000 of them going, into production late next year. So, and the production facility that they have for these things is that once they make a dozen of these things, the factory will make all of them, and any of the stuff that would have in the old days have to be done by a human will be done by the dozen robots that they built for this specific purpose. So, and the way they have it set up, the way they're selling it, I think is exactly what people are looking for. A robot that's on a little charger, has a limited 2 to 3 hour aspect, that does, the soft work of life. It can, dishes, fold laundry, that kind of stuff. But it also can throw a ball, take your dog for a walk, I guess, get packages that are outside. Shit like that people take for granted as part of your day. And once you set up, it's hooked up. They use ChatGPT as its main brain, which could literally like have a home designer, aspect to it. And you could go, hey, look at my room here. How would you move the furniture around so that it's more efficient and organize my books and stuff that are kind of all over the place or whatever? How would you do that? And it would go, well, first I do this and this. Okay, well, I like that idea. Do that. And it will start on it, much like it iterates harder projects in the verbal versions of it. But this is the way the Figure 3 is right here is the worst it will ever be. This is the worst robot they will ever release. Everything after it will get faster, smoother, more complex, and competent. Like, that's it. Like, all of these are the absolute ass versions of themselves. Which brings me to the one that is actually in the news, in that they are already taking orders. This is the Neo. We've talked about this a little bit, the Neo X1 or H1X or whatever. They have an Eve as well that has no legs, that rolls around, that's more for factory and stuff, and it works in their lab or whatever. This is a European company, but they are making and selling them in the United States first because of the access of certain chips that are going to be here because of TSMC in Arizona, I think, largely, and NVIDIA. It comes in 3 colors. It's the beige, the gray, and the black, which is a little creepy, I gotta say. Like, it totally, like, it looks like a ninja. Looks like a ninja Teletubby. But here's the thing about it. I personally like the gray. Thoughts, Rob Glenn?
The gray's my favorite.
Yeah.
Gray's my favorite.
Earth tones. Okay. So what's special about this one?
Earth tones tend to look dirty easier.
Yes, exactly.
When they get dirty, they look more dirty.
Yeah, right. I mean, you could, yeah, I guess you could dress him that way and put him in a hippie T-shirt and make, and
Right.
put a wig on him and whatever, which people will do. But this is the price structure is already out. So it is $4.99 a month to subscribe to get this guy, and to get to the front of the line and just get one straight out. And you own it with a 3-year warranty and priority delivery and premium support or whatever. Which premium support, by the way, is that they will teleoperate it if you have a difficult task they need to teach it. So you talk him through it, and they'll make his arms do it, and then eventually he'll know how to do it again, right? It'll repeat a repeating action or something. Let's say you have a shop that you work in your garage or something like that, and you want to put your tools away in a certain way. It will teleoperate and do that, and then it will know that task. And then after that, by the way, all the Neos will know that task. They won't know your stuff, but they'll know basically, oh, if you have a shop, this is often how people organize. You can ask a question. $4.99 a month is how you subscribe to this thing on the regular. This will be the primary way I think people get them ultimately. But $20,000 gets you one right away. Now, this $4.99 a month is a subscription, so I don't think you ever own it. It's like leasing it. I think that's the way they're looking at it. And I think in many ways with robots, especially as they improve all the time, that's going to be a model that people use.
Way. Yeah, might be the best way to do. So the thing in this, what I'm seeing here that's most interesting to me. It's this rule another rule that I have running a machine shop and doing production is that every time I decide to buy something, the first thing I want to make on it is outside of the limits of what it can do. It always happens to me, right? Like, you're like, shit, I wish I would have got the one bigger, right?
Yes, right.
Okay, so with robots, that's going to be multiplied by 1,000,000, right? Like, like I really wish it's doing this, but I really wish it would do that, right? Like, whatever that is. So what my question here is like, no, I don't see anybody talking about how it's going to learn how to do that, right? Are you like, will I teach it? Will I do something? Will I code something? Will I use an application on my computer? Will I talk to it? Will I like move it around? Will I physically manipulate it? Like how will that work? And then once that happens, who owns that? I just taught it to do a specialized task that it couldn't do. Does that mean that all of those, like the company that sold it to me now owns that training and can push it out to other robots? Or is that mine? Is that my special task that I can then go sell out on the market, right?
Right, sure,
I'm really interested to know how that's all going to work. Because if the second is true, if I can somehow own that, then the Apple App Store is nothing compared to what this is going to be.
Yes. So exactly. The issue with this one, right out of the gate, is that it'll be relatively new. One of the things that's special about it and why it wears this kind of sweater thing, this is it running through the grass. It can, can kneel down and give you stuff. So if you ask for a wrench, it can now look at, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good job that it did, like kind of kneeling. It's a little herky-jerky, but that's impressive. And it uses a tendon-based system, and the reason it has that sweater thing over it is so that it doesn't pinch your fingers in its joints. So if it's reaching up to grab something or move something, if your hand is in the way, it won't scissor your fingers off because it's metal, right, is the idea. And so they want it as soft as possible in these situations. And insofar as how they learn all these things is that there's a generalized aspect of dishes, laundry, stuff it understands because it's easy to extrapolate that out. And the only difference will be the layout of your house and the time you want it to do those things is the primary aspect of it.
But this is my point is like, what I know is going to happen is they're going to be like, buy this for $20,000 and it will clean up your house, do your laundry, do your dishes. There'll be like, I don't know, 10 things that it'll do, right? And you're like, well, what about number 11? And what about number 20? Right? I'd really, now that it's doing that, like that, people are going to jump to the next thing. So quickly.
They're going to get so used to this. Right.
It'll be literally like the second hour it's there. They're going to be like, well, I wish it would have done. And one of their biggest problems is going to be that expectation. because people are going to be like, wow, I just bought this super advanced futuristic robot. Why can't it brush my teeth for me? Right? Like, why can't it give me a massage? Right?
Yeah, right.
So there's going to be there's going to be some serious growing pains at the beginning of this.
Right.
And I know a lot of people are like us, where they're like, can't I just jump in there and make it do it? Like, can't I just make it do what I want it to do?
Right. So right now, the story is, as we follow it, and I'll let you go right after this, but the story is that, China's way ahead in the robot revolution, and they are planning on controlling the entirety of the robot world and blah, 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 blah. They have two problems. One is security. Nobody trusts the Chinese chips, and if you buy a robot straight out of there, the idea that it won't turn on its cameras, it's the same problem TikTok has, but on an industrial scale. And you'd rather buy from somebody that's in a country where there are laws and recourse than from an isolated regime like China that can do whatever the hell they want. And what are you going to do? Sue them? They're the only game in town. Right now, this is so stupid too. The EU and their antitrust shit shut down Amazon from buying iRobot, the Roomba company, because of antitrust rules, as if Amazon controls all the floor robots. It's just stupid. And what happened? A Chinese company bought them. The Chinese government owns half or more of every company. How is that not an antitrust violation? They run 9, out of 10 robot companies right now. Now, most of them suck, but they're buying up these other robot companies, and that should violate antitrust rules, but it doesn't, because the EU's fucking stupid right now about these things. It's just so far behind the scope. But this is the Unitree G1. This is the one that you see running around. And they have the Unitree, the H1, which is here's their hold on, let me this guy. Here's the R1, which is $4,500. And this is really the Kickbot. This is the stupid remote control-ish kind of it looks like a shitty toy you'd buy, when you want to buy a Spider-Man toy and you go to Chinatown and you get a Spader-Man. And I'm like, oh, I had no idea James Spader was once Spider-Man, whatever. It's just kind of crappy. This is the R1 Air, and this is the R1. The Air, both of them are stupid. It's $6,000, which is what's going to make people scoop them up and play with them and the like. But they're not autonomous, and they never will be. Plus, their hands are just boxing gloves. They're basically just thuggish. I guess you could modify it if you wanted to and 3D print yourself a cup holder and make it bring you a beer, but it has no way of picking it up. So it's kind of stupid. And then
that's how I would look at these, is they're basically just motors. They're motors, a bunch of motors.
Yes, right.
And if you could have the ability to effectively rip out its control system and add your own, then effectively you would be using China as the creator of the commodity, and the commodity here is the motor, and that's it. And then the thing that was unique would be that whatever's driving the control system. Yeah. And so, in a sense, that's what they did with everything, right? The 3D printers coming out of China now are better because they were already every 3D printer has the same motor and control and PC board. All of it's coming from China. Right. The only thing that made the current stuff better is the software that drives it. Right. So, you could use China as the maker of motors and arms, and then you make it do what you want when you get it.
The open source world. Right. Yeah. Well, that's kind of what Unitree is going for in this regard. But look at this thing. First of all, this version, the Unitree H1, which you see in a bunch of these places, and they always show you how far ahead it is. $90,000 and no hands. This thing is just pistons, effectively. It's bizarre. And look at the feet on the thing. It's shit. And so look at the Alien Go, which is their advanced version of the $50,000. This makes no sense whatsoever. This is them I guess taking over this part of it. And all of them, this arm is $16,000.
So that,
like,
for something like that, I don't know what size it is or what its payload is, but
yeah, no, it's the one that goes
an
on the
arm like,
dog.
oh, the goes on the dog. Okay, so but an arm like that is,
Yeah.
like a reasonably adept version of that would be 30 grand. I
Hmm.
mean, I want to buy
Right.
one, so I know how much they are.
Right. Right. But there's other models on the horizon already that
Yeah.
even from Boston Dynamics, which is owned by Hyundai now and is really like you'd think they'd be a lot more expensive. But here's the thing: look at the Unitree B2. This is just the one with lidar on it. This thing doesn't do shit. It can't pick anything up. It's got, I don't know what its payload capacity is, but I guess if you're using it for war, it's $100,000. So if you're the Defense Department, you're buying this to kill people. Maybe that's cheap by comparison. But I mean, there are dozens of systems like this that you can make on your own. You could 3D print by and large a lot of this, and as long as you have the actuators, you're good. I mean, the paws on it are square. This isn't even the kind with wheels. This makes
Well, therein lies why China's got a stranglehold on this stuff, because
right.
most of the motors are made there. Most
Right.
of the magnets, the motors, the electronics, things like that are made there.
Right, but even still, like there are people making them all over the place. This is the one with the wheels on it is the thing that I like, that stands out for me as the really functional one, because it can walk on the wheels as well as move really fast. But I get it. But again, you can buy a toy version of this that does more already. And usually they're way ahead on this. I don't know if they're trying to sell the components, try to keep the price of the robots high so that other people go, oh, we'll just buy the components from China, because the business model for China might be what you're talking about, which is focus on the components. Let other people assemble the robots and stuff. If we make the robots, then we'll sell a few of them. But if we make the components that everybody needs for theirs, it's a much broader business.
I mean, in Perhaps. A true, properly running global supply chain, that's how it would work.
Right.
I mean, they have the capacity. So, those things have been getting to be, like this, almost like this warlike posture on dealing with these things. But they have the capacity to make all this stuff. They're already making it. So unless you spend all the money to start making motors and PC boards in the US, right, they're the only game in town right now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of, and by the way, these guys make their own. This factory is going from the ground up. Tesla, that's been their model as well too, is that they made their engines from the ground up there. They, instead of buying components or getting them from someplace else, they just literally milled them. And there's I think once you get robots building this shit, which is what Figure is looking to do, and they're already working in that BMW plant, you can have them make their own parts, and then those component aspects becomes immaterial. As long as you got the material.
It's a very complicated supply chain. But the thing is that in this case, electric car, a robot, which is basically a bunch of motors, wires, and things connecting them, and some cameras and stuff like that. Like it's easier to create that supply chain from scratch than it is like an internal combustion engine car. There's just less to it. There's less components. It's just that simple. But there's, raw materials, there's metal, there's, precious metals, there's all kinds of things that we aren't able to do. So even though they make their own, I'm certain they're sourcing the components that go into it, or at least the raw materials from somewhere else.
Well, and that's the other thing about NVIDIA, is that NVIDIA's they're small, the Jensen Nano, they're kind of single computer board. Those are the things that are in all of these, in the Figure, in the G1. That's the primary board everybody's using. Now they could, I suppose, like lower end ones could just use a really good Raspberry Pi, and it'd be just fine. That's what that.
Yeah, but why would you? Why would you? Like, if you're buying something for 10 grand, you're gonna want a 2,000. Like the the core of it is the thing that makes it function is the, in this case, the video card, right? Like,
Yep.
so if you buy a PC right now, the video card is probably half the price, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you buy a robot, wouldn't the controller be in a similar sort of percentage of cost or of
Right.
value to that product, right? So, like I would think it might even be more, 75% would go into the thing that was controlling it.
Right.
And
Well, yeah.
25% would just be the manipulation, the motors and the
Yeah,
arms, right?
eventually it will be. And those boards, like I said, are just going to get faster and better. Imagine all of them could run on an iPhone, which is like a $1,200 piece of gear. Well, you don't even need that. Like the Jensen Nano is like, I don't know, $300, and that's the hard. I mean, that's it. It's already outpacing what the robots can physically do for the near future, anyways. And it's just going to improve.
You can do a lot with a Nano, like
yeah,
with a
it's
Jensen.
crazy. Yeah. So, anyways, thanks for hanging in there during a couple of kerfuffles. I appreciate it.
No problem.
I think I overtaxed that other software in trying to bring it in as a guest. I might have to rebuild something in the Ecamm world that allows me to do what I normally do in this circumstance. I think I will give that a shot. But in the meantime, though, Rob Glenn, Root Design, Chicago. I'm going to be in Chicago January 31st, which is from a weather standpoint, a great day. I'm doing a comedy show to raise money for Indivisible there, and so I will be in. I'll do my show in the morning and do the show that night. And so January's Flapper show will probably be the week before, the 23rd. I think we're going to work it out that way. And the 20th, I have the Jam Night, so it'll be a very big LA week in that regard. And then I'll fly out Friday to go to Chicago for this thing, and hopefully you and I can do a sit down version of the show.
If I'm here, you can just come to my place.
Yeah.
At some point in time, like I don't go into it on the show, but I've been doing some really interesting stuff that I think might be good for the show, but I don't want to dive into it because it might be like way too technical.
Yeah, you and I both. Like I really do. That's the thing.
I'd love to show it to you so you understood like kind of where my mind is with this stuff right now. And I'm sure it can filter into the show. So either when you're here or maybe we can do one of our Tuesday.
That's a great idea. Let's talk Tuesday about it anyways, and then we'll definitely aim for when I'm there. And maybe by the time I arrive, I can, we'll have already reached that point, and we can do a show from the shop or something, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, if you want to, actually, a show from the shop might be good. And then, depending on where you have to be that day, because it's in Rockford, so you got to go from O'Hare to Rockford and then back to Chicago. I'm fine with that. So.
By the way, Mr. Spock says, untraceable 3D printed robots. Believe me, we're going to get there, kids. We're going to get there.
We might get there like way earlier than you think. It used to be that technology would come out, it would get mature, and then 3D printed stuff would come out. It's kind of the opposite of that now.
Yes.
Like the 3D printed stuff is happening before the real stuff comes out.
Yes. I have a board that I ordered from a company that allows you to 3D print an autonomous robot with this. And so you need that. They're kind of like proprietary heart to do it because it's designed that way. But then, and some actuators come with the kit or whatever. And then you print everything else and put it together. And that's, it's a little on back order, obviously. But it's going to be here probably before New Year's. So I might be able to assemble it between now and then. And so the big question is, when do we see our first humanoid, personal service robot on a plane where somebody goes, I have to have my robot with me. Yeah. I have to have my robot, my like your comfort animals that people have. When's the first? Because I know it's going to, or the AI. I need Wi-Fi on my plane because my AI has to contact, it's in the cloud. So I need, I need free Wi-Fi, or I need strong Wi-Fi, or I can't fly. So you got to guarantee me that. You're not far.
It seems like a service robot would be like instant, right. I mean, you could have one of those Boston Dynamic dogs, be the thing that leads you around, right? Like a Boston Dynamics dog could probably currently function as a seeing eye dog. CGI
yeah,
dog, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
so I would think that would happen pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah. But now the emotional support animals is the thing I'm going to watch
Well,
for.
where does it? Do you put it in the in the overhead bin?
Compartment, right? Yeah. Would you do that to your child, to your
Would
dog?
you do that to my robot?
That's right.
This is my robot. How could you do that?
Don't you dare! This is Clive. Yeah. So
would it sit on your lap, or do you have to buy a seat for it?
Yeah, that's these questions are.
Or would you? Maybe you would sit on its lap.
Well, look out! How much comfort are we talking about?
As long as it has the right attachments.
Right. Oh God. So, anyways, you're awesome. We're all gonna get there. This is happening. I'm telling you. This stuff is coming.
That's what I'm saying. Once people start getting these things, like they're going to do some crazy shit. It's going to start getting weird fast.
Yeah, right.
So just be ready.
Because people are weird. Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be like stories like they did what with their robot? Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Gen X says Gen Xers are fucked.
No, Gen Xers are like right in the pocket. Like we're like the perfect generation to just like do all the bad and good shit with this.
That's right. It'll fold up in the seat. These aren't the droids. Yeah. George thinks these aren't the droids we're looking for. I think they're exactly the droids we're looking for personally. By
the way, I'm gonna try to be in the lead of doing the weird shit. By the way,
yes,
you're gonna be like, me too. You did what, Rob?
I'm an early adopter of weird shit as well. I've got the number of halfway started projects where I started working on them, and I was like, the new stuff already outpaces what the max this thing could do. So why would I even bother? It's so weird. But we'll get there. All right, you're awesome, and I will talk to you later. Okay, have a
great weekend.
I will.
Bye, chat.
Okay, there you
see
go.
Y'all.
There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in for Friday Eye with all of its bumps and bells and whistles and all that kind of stuff. I want to see, does the comms window work properly like it's supposed to? No, it doesn't. That's the humanoid. Okay, this is the wrong window. That's why. Yeah. Why is it doesn't even understand which thing I'm going to go to? So let's go back to me in the chat. Ta-da! And I'll figure this part of it out on my own. But gonna be a surprise for the midterms. Good luck. Surprise what? I mean, I gotta say, like the job loss numbers going up by a point. Trump is going to blame like AI and robots and all this kind of stuff, even though he's it's helping facilitate it because he can't not, but he doesn't understand any of it. It's going to be, when that shard hits the fan, it's going to be particularly galling for a large group of people. All right, where did this window go with the overlays? Oh, there. No. How come this is? I'm just dealing with a lot of wonkiness today. There's just no way around it. All right, I'll figure it out later. Anyways, I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys so much. Let's see, back to live mode. There we go. And I'll see you this afternoon for Hal Sparks Megaworldwiide. This is just, it never ends. Okay, in a good way. Let's see, where's my ending? There it is. I think this works. Oh, look at that. Yeah, it does. Oh, it muted me too. Mm-hmm.
Low, the lights flicker bright. Microwaves got a mind tonight.